Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abundology podcast and the
Selfless to Self Yes podcast.
Yes, I'm Renee Spears, host of the Abundology podcast. And today I'm talking with my friend Kandy Duns, who hosts the Selfless to Self Yes podcast. So we're multitasking and recording two podcasts at once. So Kandy is a human design mentor, and today we're going to talk all things human design. So Kandy, thank you so much for being here and for tag teaming this episode with me.
Oh, this is awesome. Thank you for having me, Renee. And I part of my design is I'm a collaborator, so this is really cool to be doing this together.
Oh, I love that. So human design, it's having a moment. And I think maybe I'm a little late to the party. I didn't know much about human design until I started working with you this year. So I would just love to start with the basics. Like, what the hell is human design?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, human design is actually a synthesis of some different systems. It's a system that has the elements of I Ching, of the chakra system, astrology, and quantum physics. It's pretty complex in ways, but it can also be used in our lives pretty practically. Human design was actually discovered by back in the 80s by Ra Uru Hu. And Ra talks about basically like an 8-day download that he had from the voice, where he got all of this information. And it just, I'm just getting chills even talking about it because it blows me away. For one thing, it sounds kind of odd, but astrology, you have your astrology sessions and it's like, damn, this is right on. And the fact that they can take our birth time, our birthplace, and our birth date, and to come up with this wonderful system of talking about how we can operate better in the world and how there's so many aha moments. It just is really kind of wild.
Yeah, I have to say I was a little skeptical about this when I first heard about it, which makes me laugh. Like some dude got these downloads and channeled the stuff, like
Right.
this is a bunch of BS, which completely makes me laugh since this is my work and what I do every day is channel messages.
Mhm.
And I have to say I wasn't completely sold until you did a reading with me and interpreted my design. And it was so eye-opening and everything was spot on.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? And thank you for trusting me and allowing me to do that with you because I do know you. I know you fairly well, right?
I'd
And as
say,
I
yeah.
was going through your chart, I was like, oh damn, that is so Renee. Oh my goodness. Oh, that explains this. I mean, it's really exciting because for me, my journey, as you know, a lot of it has just been like, who the hell am I? When I went through my shit, back in 2021, and actually, if I look at my whole life, I've gone through stuff of burning myself out, of trying to prove myself, and all of this. That when I got to human design, it was like, oh my God, it just made so much absolute sense to me. And I really couldn't believe how spot on it was. And not everything resonates. You take what does, you get rid of the rest. That's okay. But yeah, and I knew that you were a little bit hesitant about it. And because I was too. I mean, I absolutely was. I'm this nurse, I'm this logical thinker, right? All science-based. So this really opened my eyes to a lot.
Well, and I remember talking one time about it, and you were telling me that there were these people online that were calling it a cult and this and that. And can you just briefly talk about that?
Renee, I think for me, because I went on Reddit, I believe is what it was. And I was
Well,
reading all
okay,
of this
read
stuff.
it.
I was like, oh my God, do I want to get involved in this, right?
Yeah.
But what I know to be true for me is that there is a empowering side and a shadow side to everything. So I would imagine if somebody wants to really dig in and can make it be like cultish, like this is the only way to live.
Yeah.
What does that sound familiar? Sound
Yeah.
familiar?
Yes.
And so, I think you could take any of these things and turn it into something that it's not intended to be. I
Yes.
imagine that Ra probably had followers that believed that he was, equivalent to the Messiah or something, where people believe in religions. I mean, I don't know because I decided not to go down that rabbit hole. and to look at it from a lens of, okay, this is a challenge I'm having. And what does my human design say? And it just because that's my chart, it doesn't mean that I'm telling anybody this is what you are and this is what you're supposed to do, because that's not the intention. It's just to give you a different perspective and experiment. I have found that for me, that has been the most beneficial. Is like, okay, this isn't working. I'm hitting my head against a damn wall and it hurts. So let me see what this says. And, let's try it. Let's try it a different way. And I'm really finding that I have grown so much and learned so much more about myself. And there's so many areas in our lives that human design can really shed some light and help guide us.
Well, and I think, in addition to numerology and astrology, it's just a great way to know yourself better
Yes.
and really stop beating up on yourself on some
Mhm.
of the things.
Absolutely. For me, it
Hmm.
was many ways was a big fat permission slip. As an example, as projectors, and I know we share that we are both projectors. One of the things about us is that our energy is not this consistent energy. It wavers from day to day. I never allowed myself to do that because for me it was like I that's lazy. What? Just rest? What? No, 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 no. You have to earn your rest. And for projectors especially, rest is like the secret sauce. Really, we have to rest. And I didn't understand why I need to withdraw from groups or before I go to bed at night. I'm not ready to go to sleep. Like I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock at night. My husband would be like, what are you doing? Why are you going to bed at 7? You're going to wake up at 2 because you're going to bed too early. It's like, no, you don't understand. I need to get horizontal. I need to release this. I need time to, just mellow out and to be in my own space. Very projector. So for me, it was like, see, I'm not doing anything wrong. And because, like you said, we beat ourselves up, right? We're like, what the hell's wrong with me? We're not broken. It's not about that at all. So just having that understanding, giving yourself permission, not using as an excuse, right? Because like I said, there's shadow sides to everything, but to have an awareness and an understanding, and then to work through some things if you feel like, yeah, this is something I'd like to work on. This isn't really where I want my life to go, or this isn't really how I'm wanting to show up. And here I have this blueprint, if you will, that helps me figure out a different way.
Well, and that's a really good point. Now you understand yourself better and your husband understands you better too. So, how can we use this to help in relationships, like either with your kids, your partner, your coworkers?
So that's a great question. Communication, I'll kind of just blend those together, relationships and communication, because pretty much that's the crux of relationships, right? Is how you communicate.
Right.
So as an example, again, I'm a projector. Projectors we're the guides, we're the seers. We can see the whole picture. Like we see the freaking freight train coming, the crash before it happens. And I'm very focused, right? Now, Scott, he's a manifesting generator. Manifesting generators, he's this like um, think, ever ready bunny energy, and multitasking. Start something, that doesn't feel right anymore. Move to something else. That's not how I operate. So for me, I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why can't you ever finish anything that you start? And now and I would see the shame in him. Like he would feel bad, like, oh my gosh, I did this and it's something else I failed on. And then I would just support that. Yeah, you're right. You fucked up again, right? It's like, what the hell? When are you going to grow up? I would say that to him a lot. We've been together 38 years, so he's heard it more than once. And now when I see his design, it is so Scott. It is so much him, but he's meant to, and he needs to give himself permission to do different things, to do multitasking. And the more that I have understood that and allowed, I say allowed, but pulled back and said, no, he's doing one thing, and in his mind, he's like, well, I really want to be doing that. So he really needs to go do that other thing, even if it's for an hour, because that's what's going to give him the energy. It's all about our energy field, right? It's going to give
Hmm.
him the energy to be able to come back to what he was doing. Because when with manifesting generators, when they're doing something, for most of us it's like that, but for him especially, lighting him up, his energy is magnetic. I mean, he draws in the masses, and that's how he is. He's just got this beautiful energy that you just want to bask in it.
Well, I can see how it would be really helpful with your partner, and link your kids too.
Yes, when you're
And
parenting.
your coworkers, your
Mhm.
employees, where if you have somebody that doesn't really, ever finish anything, their role might be better shifted to something else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So teams is a great way. And my mentor, Erin Claire Jones, she speaks a lot. I mean, with big organizations, right? Like Google and different places like that, that she meets with and she talks to them about their teams. And exactly like you said, I might be strong. Like for me, mine might be strong, really strong in the organizing and seeing where there's a problem in the system and how we can improve it. Where somebody else doesn't give two shits about that. Their gift is in coming up with ideas and initiating things. Our manifestors are our initiators, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that they follow through with everything. They're great at beginnings, but allowing them and understanding that is like, it's okay. They're getting it started, because then you have your generators and manifesting generators coming along, the ones that actually have the energy to follow it through. So with teams, and also for yourself individually in career choices, when you know your strengths and you know more where you're really going to fit. 'Cause, the typical question when you go interview, tell me about your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yes, yes.
Right? Well, this is like a whole other level. It's like, okay, this is where I'm really strong. This is what I have to offer, and really know that it is congruent and aligned with who you really are.
Yes. Well, I would like to talk a little bit about charts and the core pieces of human design. But what I thought would be kind of cool is if people wanted to, you can go ahead and pause the podcast right now and you can pull your human design chart on Candy's website. And that's candyduns.com, KandyDuns.com. What's the chart that they start with, Candy? Is there a
The
particular one?
traditional, that it's
Traditional?
automatically will default to the traditional human design chart.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. So,
And yeah, and just it's going to ask for birth time, birthplace,
okay.
and birth date,
And
of course.
yeah. And so they just pop that in, a chart appears.
Yeah, a chart will show up. You can download that if you want.
Download it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And I know because I have seen my chart now multiple times. There's a lot of stuff on there. And first looking at it, it becomes a little overwhelming. So
absolutely.
I would just like to start with the core pieces, which I would assume would be like the five types.
Right. There are five types of in human design. There's five types, and I've talked about a few of them, but I'll just give you like a one or two sentence explanation. So our generators are our builders and our doers. They have this sustainable energy that when they're doing what's truly aligned with them and what lights them up, they get us this full body yes. And again, when we're in alignment, our energy, no matter what our type is it just draws, people just are, it's like a magnet. It's just like a magnet. And then we have our manifesting generators. Our manifesting generators, they're my husband, multi-passionate builders, and their design is very much like generators. Well, one of the key differences is that they move faster, they pivot quickly, and they need to be able to have that permission to pivot quickly. They just have to remember that, because they can get so many people on board with them, right? We're all following because we're like, this energy is amazing. Is that and I tell Scott this, when you're ready to take that left-hand turn, remember you have a team following behind you. You just need to inform us that you've decided to go a different direction.
Good
That,
point. Yes.
that, that helps a lot. And then projectors like you and I, the seers, the guides, we are here to understand people and systems really deeply. One of the things about projector energy is that we can just see right to the soul of somebody, which can be wonderful. People leave us feeling really seen and heard, but we have to be really careful to not do that when we're not invited, because it can also be kind of prickly, right? Some people
Yes.
aren't just ready to be seen like that.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good point because I have learned not to give advice.
Hmm.
And when you're paying me for advice or you're coming for a reading, 100% I will do that. But everywhere else in life, particularly with my kids, I don't give
Hmm.
advice. Nope.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's really smart. That's really wise. That's living in your design, Renee.
Of course.
And then we have manifestors. Our manifestors, these are our initiators. Here to start things, open doors, move ideas. I mean, they are, kicking ass, taking names, but and they're not asking for permission to do it. They really need autonomy. They really, like I said, they're the ones that get things going, get things rolling. And for them, one of the biggest lessons is just realizing that if you don't just follow through with everything, if you start a project, you don't finish it, that's okay. The key is getting that team on board with you, the rest of us that are willing to take it to the finish line. And lastly, the most um, uh, what word am I looking for? The most not unusual, the least
Rare.
common, uh, rare. That's it. Rare.
Yeah.
That's the word. Only it's like less than 1% of the population are reflectors, and the
Hmm.
reflectors are like the mirrors. They reflect the health of their environment. They have deep, deep wisdom, and for them, and it has to do with centers, which we'll might briefly touch on, but they absorb a lot of their surroundings. So for them, they have their main decision making is like it's like a lunar cycle for the big decisions. It's like kind of waiting. The moon is a big part of them, and also is their environment is so very, very important, and really being aware of what environment they're in, because if they're in a great environment with the people that lift them up, that they feel empowered by or they feel lit up by, that's wonderful. On the other hand, if they're not in an environment that aligns with them, it's very toxic. And it can be for any of us, but more so with reflectors, because they take on so much of the other energy of the world.
Now, do our designs change over time or are they pretty much fixed at birth based on our birth
Yes, yeah,
info?
yeah. Our design, our type stays our type, but it doesn't mean that there'll be some people. It hasn't happened to me yet, but like with my mentor said, you will sometimes sit down with somebody and they don't resonate at all with their design. They might resonate more with somebody else, and there are reasons that can happen, and there's also more often than not, it has a lot to do because. Um, they're living so outside their design, they don't even know who they are. Like if you would have asked me a few years ago, I'd be like, no, none of this makes sense until I went through what I went through. And then it's like, oh, no wonder I burned out. No wonder I never felt heard or seen at that place. No one, it was just all of it just came together. So it's like it can be like with manifesting generators and generators, they can really, it could be a lot of overlap there. And also with reflectors, they're kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I first looked at the chart, it was just like, what the hell does all this stuff mean? So we have the types. So what are the other like core pieces that you look for on the chart?
So I start with like the foundation. I feel is type. We really need to understand our type because that shows us how our energy works best in the world. How we where you're meant to focus and where you're not actually. Again, it's not going to tell you you can't. If you're going to go to these places, you might keep hitting that brick wall. Um, and these are the areas in the chart that are more actionable too. That's like, oh, I can see I've been trying to be a generator and I'm a projector. No wonder I still can get a shit ton of stuff done, but I just don't have I don't have that energy. So I need to work within my energy. And then your strategy. Your strategy is how you're designed to move through life in a way that creates less resistance and more flow. How you bring in aligned opportunities, so that's the other thing. And authority is your, for me, it's like our internal operating system, our personal decision making for the big decisions. Not like what one pair of shoes am I wearing today, but big career changes, relationships, things like that. And we have some of the types have strategies where it's all in the gut. It's that initial yeah, 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 yes, it's a yes. And for projectors, because of the way our emotional wave is and the way our energy goes, Ours is more uh, sleeping on it. I need to sleep on it. Do
Mm.
I feel the same way tomorrow? Because if I'm in a manifesting generator's energy and they're in their aligned space where they are just like magnetic, I'm like, oh God, that's a great idea. Yes, yes, yes. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, why did I agree to that? Because I'm not in that high emotional state. So
Right.
it's kind of like, am I as excited about it tomorrow as I was today? And for real big decisions, maybe even another day to kind of have an idea. Because if you're making the decisions based on when you're at that top energy level, you're going to say yes to things a lot, at least in my experience. And you can tell me, have you experienced that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the same goes with if I'm in my low state. Like Tuesday was a really like low energy state for me. I would have said no to everything that day. And that could have been, opportunities that really, really would have been important for me to say yes to. So
Mm.
that's what our type, our strategy, our authority. And then I also like our profile. The profile, when you look at your chart, so I'm a 1-3. So the 1-3 is the profile numbers when you see those numbers. And your profile describes the role that you tend to play in life. The first number is for your conscious side, which you may be more aware of. And the second number is more of your unconscious side, where other people might see it in you before you even are aware of it. And it's profiles how you learn, how you relate to others, and how you express yourself in the world. And not that I look at it as actionable in the way that it just helped me really understand. So for me, the 1-3, the one is the expert. The one explains to me why I feel like I never know enough, why I have to feel like I'm an expert in everything that I do. And then the 3, which other people saw in me, which I do see in me now, the 3 is the experimenter. Like throw the shit against the wall, see what sticks. There's never a mistake. It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson. And so next time I'll do it this way. And I had been doing that a lot in my life, but never gave myself credit for it.
Yeah, and I think I know you know my chart better than I do. Same with Deborah and my astrology chart. She knows my astrology chart better than I do, but I think I'm a 2-5.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You are a 2-5, and the 5. So the 2 is where you have this, they call it like the heretic, or the hermit. And so you have this balance between wanting to show up in the world and really serve, but also really needing to have that downtime alone. So it's that's why rest is so important, so that you don't get into either one, to where you just ignore what your body is telling you, your soul is telling you, and you're just giving yourself away. Or because once you get to that point, and then what happens, not you, but a person who it can be this way for you, is that if you've given too much away, then you retreat so much because you also have that hermit side. The 5 is you're the ultimate problem solver, right? The 5s are ultimate problem solvers. Their challenge is realizing what are your problems to solve
Uh,
and what aren't, and
yes.
actually choosing to work on the ones that are your problems to solve. And
Yes.
then there's so much wisdom gained, because then you teach other people how to solve problems as well.
Yeah. That is, of course, spot on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, also, when you look at the chart, there's that funky, I don't know, symbol chart thing over to the side that has all of these triangles and numbers and, everything on there.
Yeah. So
Um,
so yeah, each one of those, it's different planets of either, when, because you have your conscious side and your unconscious side. The conscious side is where you have, which is on the right, is where based on the exact time of your birth, the
okay.
date. The other one is like, I want to say 89 days before that or something, which is the unconscious, where there's been a couple of ways that I've heard it. The one that resonates the most with me is that about 89 days before your birth is when consciousness actually starts. So that's where those come. And honestly, I haven't dived that deeply into all of that, because a lot of astrology. So there's different things depending on in the little numbers. The first number, it's the gates. So there's 64 gates, and I believe that goes with the I Ching. And so you'll notice numbers all over your chart, and all of those numbers are the same, by the way, in everybody's chart as far as where the numbers are placed, but some are colored in, some are not. And that has to do with we have our gifts. Our gifts are in our gates.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's what all those are. And then the second number has to do with the profile lines. So on the very first one, you'll see on the right, you'll see the number, and then you'll see the, the dot, whatever that is. The number on the right, like on mine, will be a 1, and on the left will be a 3. So that's where your profile comes from. So yours will be a
Okay.
2 and a 4, or 2 and a 5.
Okay. So anybody looking at this would be like, oh my, say, I would say same when you look at an astrology chart, like what the hell am
Yes,
I looking at? So
yes.
definitely need somebody to help you interpret what this is. And I want to say, chat is not the best at this. Like you can put your information in
Mhm.
chat,
Mhm.
and it'll have general things.
Yes.
But when it comes to like deciphering the gates and what's open and this and that, it's not your thing.
Yeah, and I mean it can. I've also noticed chat has made errors, has made mistakes. Because what I've done before is I put in something for chat that this is what I'm working with my client, and this is the challenge, and I want to make sure that I'm hitting all of the highlights just to see.
Yeah.
And I've had them coming back at with me and like, no, you just described a manifesting generator. This person is a reflector, or this,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to be careful with that. And then can I just say one thing about it is the first time that I sat down and had a human design reading. I don't even remember anything of it because I wanted to know everything. That's the projector in me. And so with my clients, I really explain. I mean, if somebody just wants to say, just tell me what everything means on here, okay, I can do that. But for me, it's all about integrating it. And if you don't know the foundation, it's not really going to do a whole lot to start teaching you all about your incarnation cross and all of the centers and all of that. I mean, we could talk a little bit about it with the challenges because there is insight there, but you really need to understand, your type, what your type is, what your authority and your strategy, because those are the most actionable, and then dive into the other things. And it's not a one and done. It's absolutely not a one and done.
It is absolutely not a one and done. I know
Yeah.
we've done numerous sessions now, and each time I come away with something new, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
The most surprising thing for me, and then I'd love to hear what the most surprising thing that you've seen in somebody's chart. But for me, there was a certain area, it doesn't matter, but I had all of these open gates. And what you said to me was that was about fear. Do you remember that? And
Yeah. In the spleen, there's fear gates. Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I have not felt fear in my life. I could walk in New York City at 3 in the morning and not be afraid of I haven't been afraid of failing, afraid of anything.
Hmm.
And I've often thought this is really weird. And what's wrong with the rest of you? Why are you so fearful of shit?
Right. Right.
And then when you explained that to me, it was like, I got it. Not only did I understand myself better, but I understood everybody else better.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing of it for me is I think when you understand other people a little bit better, it gives you, at least it gives me more of a compassion for people.
Yeah.
And like I said, even in the example I gave with my husband, or it can give with like a friend. One of the things, one of my friends that I love dearly, and we were talking about collaboration at the beginning here. And there's something called definition in our charts, and so I am a split definition, which means that I like to collaborate. I need to talk with somebody. I like to collaborate and really get input and really. And so for me, I was feeling like I really want to collaborate with this person, but I don't think she wants to collaborate with me. And then when I started working with her on her chart, she's a single definition. And what that means is it's pretty much just think of it more like of a closed, I'll just think of it like a closed system in areas, right? She sounding boards are great, but not necessarily doesn't mind collaborating so much, but really is in her own flow. That's how she operates best with her energy and with the way that her design is. And it made me look at it totally different. It's like it wasn't about her not wanting to collaborate. It was just
Yeah.
this is just how her design is, and that there are people that have like a triple split definition, and They need all kinds of different input from different places, before they make decisions or as they're processing their information, because your definition has a lot to do with how you process your information. So a single doesn't need that collaboration. They are designed to be more in their own zone.
And that would be really important. One, as a friend,
Hmm.
why doesn't this person want to collaborate with me? But
Right.
even in a relationship, why does my partner not want to do everything with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Especially when you have that single definition. Well, single and split, and a split like me. I mean, it's because you always need other people, but you just don't need that validation when you're
Yeah.
single. It's like it's all more within. Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you can think of that's been kind of surprising when you've looked at people's charts?
I mean, for me, what's been surprising, what I love is just when I'm seeing those aha
Yeah.
moments, and I it's interesting because somebody who I've known most of my life, I pulled up his chart, and his so we have our energy centers, right? And when you're looking, if anybody's looking at the chart, some are colored, some are not. Those are all our different energy centers. I'm not going to go into great depth here, but when they're colored in, they are considered defined or closed. So you're more consistent, have a more consistent way of doing things, more consistent way of processing, depending on which energy center we're talking about, more consistent energy. When they're not colored in, you're more open. So that's where you might have more challenges in your life. But the beautiful thing of that is when you're living aligned, you also gain such great wisdom that you can share with other people. So it's not a bad thing. There's not a good or a bad chart at all. But his chart, every one of his centers are defined. So they're all colored in. So, which explains a lot of how, you know, more of it is, I don't want to say my way or the highway, but yeah, very independent, doesn't have that need to seek any outside approval. And the other thing about it is that he was also a triple split. So that explained why he needs, well, let's just say it, like in relationships, one person is just not going to satisfy you. I mean, it's like, I mean, you can work ways through that. And I don't just mean sexually, but I mean, it's like you need to have um a lot of variety in your life. A lot of variety. I mean, and that can show, I mean, like I said, there's a shadow side to everything. But it was like, wow. You ask, like, how can somebody, like I've had somebody say, how could my ex-husband just go start another family and not even pay attention to my child? Well, let's look at the chart. And some of it is like they're just not built that way. They are able
Yeah.
to just go and not even feel guilty about it. However, I've also had people come to me and say, I don't care for this part of myself. And so it's okay. So this is a challenge. So what can you do? Whether it's something as simple as a manifesting generator who doesn't want to ask for permission, but who needs to just inform, like what people just keep dropping off. They're just getting mad at me and I don't know why. Well, it's because you changed the plan and you don't inform them. So, you can just make these little tweaks. Or for me, like how I really felt like that person really didn't want to be around me. Well, because I wasn't invited to go impart my wisdom on them. And even though my intention was great,
Yeah.
they just weren't down for that. So just understanding that is really helpful.
Well, in all things, understanding yourself in relationship,
Mhm.
understanding yourself in your career and your work, and how
Yes.
to approach it that way.
Yes.
As a parent, and
Yes.
understanding your kids. I remember years ago, I would ask my son Ryan to take out the garbage, and I would have to say it over and over, like 10 times, take out the garbage. Do you remember to take out the garbage? And then I had an astrology reading about him, and I don't remember exactly what it was in the chart, but it's like, he's not going to ever remember to take the garbage out. It's just not in his makeup.
Right.
Similar type thing here. So then I can let it go. It's not like there's something wrong
Yes.
with this kid.
Well, and
Oh,
that's it. And we
yeah.
always go there, right? And then we
Yeah.
think something's wrong with them. Then we're mad at ourselves because we're not being a good parent. And
Totally.
how can I communicate it in with human design? There's a lot of people that are seeking human design for parenting.
Yeah.
As an example, one of my grandsons, and my daughter is the same way now that I know her type as well. But where do you want to go eat? Do you want to go to lunch? Yes, let's go. Okay, where do you want to go eat? I don't know. Well, with generators, and they can be accused of not being able to make up their mind. It's not that. It's I'm asking the question wrong. What I need to say to him is Caden, would you like to go to Chili's or to Papa Pablo's? Would you prefer Mexican food or American food? Then they know, they get the hit that, their body feels it and they know. But if you're just giving them the whole menu, it's really difficult for them to come up with that decision. And that's something very common with generators.
Yeah, that's all of this is so incredibly fascinating.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. It
yeah.
is. It's so exciting. It really is.
Well, I'm excited because every year, I do a bundle of, I call it the Cosmic Clarity Bundle.
Mhm.
And in the past, I've had, tarot reading, Akashic Records. But this year, I'm so excited to be doing the bundle with you and the astrologer, Deborah Norton. So you
Me
get,
too.
I know, it's so fun.
It is.
So you
Yeah.
get an hour human design reading with Candy. You get an hour astrology reading with Deborah Norton, and you get a spirit guide channeling session with me. All of those things for $250. Like this is a super duper
Yeah.
great deal.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. I'm so excited about it too. I mean, and I've had reading with, of course, I have said a lot of readings with you and I love it. We see each other pretty regularly. And I've had a reading with Deb as well. And
Okay.
oh God, she's so fantastic. I can't wait for, when your podcast comes out for the end of the year or the beginning of, for the 2026 information. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just so good.
the yearly astrology
Hmm.
forecast that comes out in a couple weeks because next year, like, oh my God, if there was ever a year you wanted to do the bundle, this would be the year because there's
Hmm.
so much happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a link to purchase that in the show notes. There's also a link to just book a reading with Candy on her website and do that.
Thank you.
One additional thing is your journaling class coming up in January. Like I did it last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. But can you tell us
Oh,
a little
yay.
bit about what the journaling class is?
So the journaling class, just a little backstory is I did a journaling class a couple years ago, year and a half ago, I guess. And it was about because I'm really big on self-love, and it was about self-love, and I was blown away about the transformation that I experienced. So I did my first one last January, and yeah, Renee, you were in it. It was so awesome. And I started focusing. We focused on self-love, but it kind of evolved. I just let intuitively just kind of came up with something different every day, and the feedback was amazing. Like, wow, this was so good. This is exactly what I needed. And this year, I really want to do it because we are going into a, a 1 year, and we are leaving the year of the snake and going into the year of the horse. And I mean, just you can just think of, shutting the skin, getting rid of let's not bring all that shit with us into the new year. So the focus is going to be a lot on, moving forward with intention, letting go of what no longer serves us. And we get together, we just kind of do a real quick morning, how's everybody doing? And then we get into about 20-25 minutes of journaling. You'll have prompts. Last year I tried to have a prompt for people who were more experienced with the journaling and had done more on their whole self personal journey so that for people that were newer they didn't feel intimidated, but you don't have to have writing experience, just have an open heart. And the women that show up in these groups, as you know, with Women's Circle, the ones who are supposed to be there are there, and there's so much power in the group. There's just so much there. So yeah, I even participated last year, and one of the participants had said, for the follow-up, that normally I don't appreciate when somebody who's heading it or somebody who's hosting it participates. But it was so good to have you do that, and I learned so much. And it was like really good because honestly, I didn't even think about that it might be a problem that I was, doing that. But I think that, I think I got some stuff to add, and I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to be vulnerable, and I'll go to those places. If I'm bringing up anything, you don't have to share. You can do all the journaling and not share afterwards. But I know that there's also a lot of power and healing in that too. So it was over the 2 weeks. at the beginning, some of the women were, not as, they didn't share, and that was fine because they didn't have to. But by the end of it, everybody pretty much had something to say. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. And space is limited because you want to keep it to be an intimate group where everybody has the opportunity to be seen and heard and share. But I've got already had a couple people sign up, so I'm really excited, and I'd love to
I
have
better get in there
anybody.
and sign up then so I get a spot.
I got a spot there for you,
Oh,
Renee.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also, hey, thank you for this. Thank you for
Oh,
doing this with me. I always learn so much about human design and myself when I talk with you.
you're
Yeah,
so
and
welcome.
I'm just really excited for the next year. I'm excited to do these bundles with you and have more readings with you this next year too.
Yes, absolutely. I am too. And I, from my heart, I so appreciate you. And I'm so excited too, because, I think people who are called to this, that you're not going to be just, they're not going to be disappointed. And it's
Agreed.
like the lineup is like fantastic. That's how I look at it.
Exactly.
So yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we will talk to you again next time.
Thank you.